everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. My name is Derek DeBurger. With me is Sam Roth.
How are we doing, guys?
Football we're so close. We can almost taste it. And so we talk about all the tasty tidbits that we got at Big 12 Media Day.
Sure did.
We talk about other media days coming up. We talk about James Madison finally being in the FBS officially. We talk about
tampering within the transfer portal or lack thereof.
Yeah. It's not the lack thereof. It's tampering.
No lack thereof being in the transfer portal. But
okay,
anyway.
All right. Yeah, but then we also talk about athletes now being ruled by a court that they are employees by universities. We talk about the MLB draft and our reactions to that, Selection Sunday changes for March Madness, and then we give our top 5 rivalries in college football at the end of the episode. So if you want to watch that, stay tuned. If you liked it, maybe hit the thumbs up. That's the like button.
And also comment down below who you think the best rivalry is in college football.
Yeah. And we'll hope to see you in the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. We are, let me do the math. I think we're 32 days away from week 0 as of recording this podcast.
Really? We're a month away from football?
Yeah.
Let's go.
From week 0.
How about that?
From a ton of football, we're like 46 days.
Oh.
I think. Because that week's,
Is it like 2 weeks worth? Is week 0? Or?
No, it's 1.
Okay, 1 week before. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's do it.
Wait, did I do my math correctly?
I don't think so. You said 46 and 32.
Oh, no, 39.
Okay, gotcha.
Sorry.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think we're 39 days away from week 0. I did my math. Sorry, guys.
But yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close.
And so that means media.
It does mean media.
At least.
We got the Big 12 Media Day happened last week. We have, as recording, the SEC Media Day.
Yeah, it's going on right now.
And next week will be the ACC and Big 10 Media Day.
There we go.
And then, like last year, I think we're going to do the predictions for each major conference.
Oh, yeah. Our selections.
So I'll probably have to do the math, but I think that'll be starting next week.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So be tuned for that. But, of course, because of Big 12 Media Day happening, there's always some good quotes, starting with everyone's villain of the season, let's be honest, Colorado and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur said, it was a very simple quote. He just said that Colorado is going to be everybody's Super Bowl.
Yeah, no.
I'll say this. I would have to go through each team that plays them and look at their roster, but I think they're going to be a lot of teams Super Bowl, in all honesty.
I don't know about that. I mean, based off of last year, this team wasn't even bowl eligible last year. And now they're saying that they're everyone's Super Bowl? It's a stretch.
I don't think it is. There's people that want to destroy Colorado.
Yeah, but
simply because they're annoyed by them.
Yeah, I understand that, but to say that you're going to get everyone's best because they hate you, I guess that's just everyone's Super Bowl because they just hate you. But I don't know. I would feel like if I'm Oklahoma State, I'm worried about Kansas State, or I don't know, or Utah for that matter. I don't feel like Colorado is going to be as prevalent as we think.
All right, let's go down their schedule. They played North Dakota State week 1.
No. That is not North Dakota State's Super Bowl.
You could argue because it's the FBS team that they play.
No, but
I know they still play South Dakota State.
I feel like that game doesn't matter as much as any other games in the grand scheme of things.
No, it doesn't. But
no.
Do you think those guys don't want to destroy Colorado? And embarrass Coach Prime?
Well, I think shouldn't you want it when you hit the gridiron? Isn't that your goal and your mindset is to go out there and destroy?
Yes, but be honest. You can't. Not everyone has that mindset all the time, and honestly, you probably can't. So there are certain teams where it's like, no, I want to beat the brakes off of them.
There's the only one that stands out to me as far as their Super Bowl would be Colorado State. Other than
even Nebraska.
No,
Nebraska and Colorado are rivals.
Are they? Are
they
that big of rivals?
They're old Big 12, Big 8, I think, rivals.
Okay, maybe those two, but those two rivalry games. That is sure.
I would give them Baylor. I I think Central Florida plays Florida, so I don't know if I would go that far with them. Kansas State has Big 12 aspirations. Arizona has Big 12 aspirations. Cincy,
No,
maybe.
no.
I don't think any game is their Super Bowl because Scott Satterfield's their coach.
Yeah, but I mean, like looking at their schedule, even excluding the schedule, it's just like.
I think the gist of the comment is that a lot of teams are going to be extra hyped to play them. And I think that's true.
Yeah, I would agree with the statement if that's the sentiment behind it. Because, I mean, like,
I think it is.
I mean, there's not much to like about Colorado right now, unless you are just a fan of them and what they stand for.
I mean, do you mean there's not much to like as far as, like, personality-wise?
I mean,
or
yeah,
do you
the
mean
way
just,
they-
like, talent on the team?
I mean, like, the way they perceive themselves.
Okay.
Like, you were a 4-8 team last year, and you looked like, and you think that you're everything in that. You have a few very talented players on your team, but as far as like a team goes in a team sport, it's if we're going off of last year's records, it's not a great team. Has a lot of issues and a lot of question marks heading into the season. Now, can they rebuild it quicker because of the transfer portal? Sure, but
Yeah. I mean, for the second year in a row, they have the most transfers in the country.
sounds about right. But we saw what that did last year. So
It improved their win total
by 3.
by 4. Well, 4 times. That's
Right.
By 3 games, 4
Right.
times.
But what I mean, like, can you repeat that success? I mean, if you even want to call last season a success.
I mean, if you improve by 3 wins again, I think that is a success, honestly. Potentially, I mean, you can make the argument no because of the talent they have at quarterback and a lot of the skill positions.
Yeah.
But
Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders are very good players. No
But-
one's denying that.
well, they have good receivers too.
Right. I agree with that.
And the rest of their secondary is good behind Travis Hunter. It's not. I mean, Travis Hunter's Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
He's like a top 5 pick or whatever he's going to end up being. But like they have a good secondary.
Right.
And if you're a believer, they brought in a ton of transfers in the offensive and defensive lines.
See, as far as like the lines go, I feel like you have to have some form of foundation to build off of because
You've said that a lot, but I think we're seeing more and more teams will have like 3 starters that they brought in the portal on the offensive line. I think that's a far more common occurrence than it used to be.
yeah.
I think you're right that an offensive line has to gel together,
Yeah, absolutely.
but you find that gel and you find that like cohesion in practice, and especially once games start.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't work or doesn't work. All I'm saying is that we've seen it to where it has not worked in the past. So I think it's fair to have some skepticism about it working again in the future, not just for Colorado, but for other teams that we have seen who had high hopes. I mean, hell, USC brought in what we thought was the best front 7 in the transfer portal last year, and that team sucked because of defensive scheme.
Well, they had the front 7 was talented.
Oh yeah, very talented.
They racked up a lot of sacks early on, and I know they didn't play good competition early on, but there was talent on that front 7.
Oh, no one's denying that.
You're right; it was all about scheme.
It was, and so like it's not a question of whether or not there's talent. We know Colorado has talent. It's just a matter of is there enough time to make it gel. It gives off the vibe of like a Calipari one and done team now in football, where we're seeing it to where can you coach all these guys to buy in to one common goal, or are they all individually out for their own talent and sake in the next level? I think there's a something very similar to that. We've seen Calipari make runs and win national championships before. We've also seen him flame out in the first round of the NIT. There's so many question marks behind Colorado.
I do think the difference between how Calipari's one and done got stale versus kind of like the new one and done in sports through the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I think that like year 1 they took in 80-something transfers.
Which is insane.
It's almost the entire team.
That is the entire team.
There's like 90 guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically an entire team. Year 2 they brought in like 50-something transfers.
Right.
Which is still half the team,
Which also
over
means,
half the team.
Which also means half the guys that transferred in probably left.
Well, you had guys graduate too, but yeah,
Right.
you did have a lot of guys leave.
So I mean, like the amount of turnover is insane. So at what point do you just have a foundation? You can't plug and play a whole team. Is what I'm trying to get at.
I know, but what I'm trying to say
Mhm.
is that I think that number is dwindling so far as Colorado is improving. I think the goal for Deion Sanders in Colorado here is let's get good now, and then once we get good and once we can stay good, then let's kind of do it a little more traditional way. I think right now they're just going heavy in the portal a way that we've never seen, and I think that's their goal. I don't think they want to do that forever.
Who knows? Because at this
Yeah.
point, you're bringing in on average 60 transfers in, on average over the last 2 years, which is basically you're bringing in a new team every year. The only difference between like what Calipari did at Kentucky to what Dion is doing now is Dion is trying to go after proven guys in the portal, whereas Calipari went after high school recruits with high upside. Like, that is like the only difference as far as that comparison goes, I feel like.
I will say again that the portal is slightly different than Cal's one and done, because I know
it
if
is.
they didn't live up to expectations, there's a chance they come back for year 2 or stick out their college career in
Right.
Kentucky. But with Colorado, you can also bring in sophomores and juniors. Like, you're not just bringing in seniors.
No, absolutely.
I think that to get to the original point, I think that a lot of teams are going to be extremely amped to play Colorado.
Oh, I would be too.
Far more than they would be to play a normal 4-8 team.
Right, because you want to pummel that team in the ground because they won't shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, they won't stop talking, and also people won't stop shoving microphones in their face.
Yeah.
Which feeds the talking. All right.
Give an idiot a soapbox, so they're going to stand on it and yell something.
You know what? Speaking of giving an idiot a soapbox, do you want to talk about what Mike Gundy said at Big 12 Media Day?
What did Mike Gundy say at Big 12 Media Day?
I mean, you have it a little better than me.
Not really. I didn't really read too much into it, but basically, we covered it last week. 2 weeks ago, Ollie Gordon got arrested on suspicion of a DUI.
Yeah, even though he definitely was. I mean, he blew a .1.
.1, which is over the legal limit. But he did it.
He did it in the holding cell.
Yeah, not at the scene. So technically, it's a suspicion. But anyway, semantics on the charge.
Yeah.
But basically, Mike Gundy was there saying like, yeah, he messed up, and then tried to talk about the science behind a DUI and how, paraphrasing here, but more or less on how like he just casually said that he's done it numerous times himself.
I think the way he phrased it was like we've
all been there.
He's like he had a few too many and got behind the wheel. He's like made a bad mistake. He's like, we've all been there. I've done it 1,000 times. I heard so this is what I heard.
Right.
I heard that when he said I've done it 1,000 times, he was referring to making mistakes.
Oh, I see.
But it really, the way it's phrased, it doesn't sound like it.
It sounds like Mike Gundy gets plastered every weekend after an Oklahoma State win and gets behind the wheel to drive home.
Yeah, and it I don't really the way it's phrased, it doesn't sound like it, and it just to me it almost. I'm not trying to accuse him of anything.
No,
but it almost sounds like damage control.
No, absolutely.
It sounds like they're like, yeah, I do it all the time. You drink and drive all the time? No, mistakes. Sure, yeah, mistakes.
And
because that's I don't know.
But it's just it's not funny, but the quote is funny. Like the situation isn't funny.
The admitting to the what?
Yes,
that is
funny.
It's very goofy.
Come on, man! Everyone does it. Just come on in. Everyone does it. You know, that's what it gives off. It gives off just like, what's the big deal? Like, I've done it. You've done it. Come on, man. You know you've done it. Come on, just you know you've done it.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, so. Did you ever watch Swamp Kings, that documentary series on Netflix?
On Netflix.
It's about Florida, their football team.
Oh yes, I have.
It's part of Netflix's
untold
story,
stories in sports or whatever. Yeah,
which is very clearly them trying to have their own 30 for 30.
yeah. I mean, I'm a sucker for watching a sports documentary.
Yeah, I know.
So I watch it.
I have my opinions about them. I think a lot of them are very cheaply made because they're just trying to catch up to the catalog that 30 for 30 has.
Mm-hmm.
That's a side point.
Well,
but I literally I watched the first episode of Swamp Kings like a year ago, and then I just had the opportunity to watch it like this weekend, and so I finally watched like 3 episodes and finished it. One of the former offensive linemen for Florida said something really interesting. You're talking about like the very, very brief mention of how like everyone in Florida started getting arrested.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, there's situations where like the university would get involved. Someone, an attorney knows people in the police department, and then things just don't get reported.
Right.
And he's like, think about it like this way. Who's the biggest taxpayer in the city of Gainesville? It's Florida. It's UF. I'm not trying to blame Mike Gundy or anything. But the biggest taxpayer in Stillwater it's Oklahoma State.
Right.
It's OSU.
To be fair, he was arrested in Texas.
In Texas, that's not Oklahoma.
No. All he was arrested in Texas.
Yeah.
A little different, but
that was a side note, but
also
it was a winding path.
But I mean, talking about the documentary, I didn't really like it that much.
It is.
It didn't really cover anything. Like, we didn't really talk about the Pouncey twins. They didn't really talk about Aaron Hernandez. They didn't really. It really was just like Tim Tebow and Brandon Spikes and Urban Meyer. That's basically what the
they definitely tried to paint it in a much more
way.
Sympathetic light.
Yeah. But yeah, that's no here or there about that though.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, let's move on from that to an interesting bit of news that I don't know if a ton of people saw, but a lower court, an appeals court, has now ruled that the NCAA athletes are employees.
All right.
Yeah. They said that the notion that they can't be employees is ridiculous because university employs students all the time. It's like literally like a foundation of some universities. It's like oh, the library is entirely employed like by students.
Right.
It's like the ID office is entire, stuff like that.
Right.
And so they basically were like, if you can do that, of course athletes are employees because they're doing like 3 to 4 times the amount of work as these people.
Well, the amount of hours too, yeah.
Yes. And so, yeah, they that was a ruling. It's going to get appealed.
Of course.
It's going to go to the Supreme Court,
right?
Which the Supreme Court has already, like, very, very heavily implied that if any other NCAA cases come their way, they're going to slap the NCAA across the face.
Well, it only makes sense because it's, in a way, it's up until NIL at least, it was basically slave labor to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
We're taking the fruits of your labor
and
then making money off of it where you're getting no returns.
I can't remember his name, but the guy who created the system that the NCAA used, decades afterwards, he was like, I created slavery and I feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. That's what it is. Who could have seen that coming? But yeah, that's a bit of small news.
Not too big.
In other news, you want to stick on football or you want to do the MLB draft real quick?
We'll stick to football.
All right, sticking to football. James Madison, who is about to enter its 3rd year in the FBS, is more popular, more well-known in basketball, but there's a 4-year gestation period.
Which is so stupid.
Yeah, where you can't actually participate in postseason play. That's affiliated with the NCAA. So, in theory, you could compete for a conference championship if the conference allowed it. They do that in basketball.
Right.
They don't do that in football because in football they kind of, I don't know, it feels useless.
Mm-hmm.
So James Madison, where they did, like both them and Jacksonville State made bowl games last year, that's just because there weren't enough bowl eligible teams.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
they ended up getting bids simply because of that.
Right.
James Madison is now officially in the FBS, and their gestation period has been waived.
Okay.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, duh. Of course, they're in the FBS. Just let them be in the FBS. But it's nice for them.
Wasn't like the whole idea behind that rule was back in the 70s when teams were moving from the
Yes.
FCS to FBS? Is that?
Yeah, you looked it up. I think it was Marshall who was taking advantage of it.
It had to do with transfer rules, which don't apply now because of the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Like,
So if you were going up a level, you didn't have to sit.
exactly. Because then your whole team would have to sit if you went up a level. The idea was that you could bring in FBS talent, be like, hey, we're transferring. If you come to our school, you can play immediately. And then, obviously, schools didn't like the fact that there was a loophole around it for 1 year, and so they created a period in time.
Yeah.
To ban that. And it was just like, now it doesn't even matter, that gestation period, because really people say the idea is to protect the institution because they have to have time to develop and have the foundations in place to represent a Division I school. But then, if you're moving up already, you probably already have the facilities at this point. It just wouldn't make sense to move up and not have the facilities.
I feel like you'd be surprised.
I mean, most recently, I would like to feel like JMU with the way they performed on the field last year. They have.
I mean, they were at
They were
the
like
end of their
11-1.
tenure. They were an FCS powerhouse
Right.
under Kurt Cignetti. They had made, I think, multiple. I don't think they ever won it, but I think they made multiple FCS championship
Like, we've
games.
seen it with JMU. We've seen it with App State make the jump. I mean, a lot of schools have made the jump. I just think it's dumb to have this rule in place because it basically handicaps the teams now. You also have a rule in place that protects all the other Division I schools that no longer applies because of the way the portal works now.
Yeah.
So everyone's on a fair playing field for that sake.
Yeah, like it was a dumb rule
It's
to
an
still be in
outdated
place.
rule,
Yeah. And like we've seen it in basketball, like Bellarmine would have made the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, there's a number of teams over the past few years that would have made the tournament. Like Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah.
When they beat Purdue.
Yeah. As
a 16 seed, they shouldn't even made the tournament. They lost in their championship game.
Oh, wow.
But they lost to Merrimack. I think it was Merrimack.
Wow.
Who was still like in that first 4 years.
Oh.
So they couldn't go.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just overall.
Yeah, and then also we've seen it like so Bellarmine. I was about to talk about Bellarmine
Yeah.
before I talked about Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bellarmine won their tournament
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Couldn't go.
Nope.
Stupid. But because of that, they still had 2 more years of like the that holding window where they couldn't play in postseason tournaments. And so because of that, all their good players transferred out. High school players are like, oh, I don't want to transfer in if there's like no point to the season,
Right.
essentially. And so they just tanked for 2 years. They literally would have been a tournament team, and then the next 2 years they were god awful. And now this year they're going to enter their first year where they actually can go to the tournament if they win their conference tournament, and they're just not anywhere near good enough to compete
Right.
because the NCAA inadvertently just tanked their
Stronghold of them.
program.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's a ridiculous rule. It's stupid. It's dumb. We're all on the same page.
Yep.
All right. More football news. Jay Norvell, head coach of Colorado State. We talked about the school in Boulder. We're going to talk about the school in
I don't know
wherever it is. I'm gonna look it up.
Wherever Colorado State is in the state of Colorado.
It is in the good old Sunshine State.
Isn't it Florida?
Nah, man. Anyway, it's in Fort Collins, Colorado. I don't know if that's
Good on 'em.
in like the Denver metropolitan area, but anyway. So Jay Norvell, he said that his quarterback, Braden Fowler Nicolosi, who is a pretty solid quarterback. I've watched him play. He's good.
There you go.
Got issues, but he's good.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like
Yeah, we've all
he's
got
not a
flaws.
perfect quarterback.
No.
I don't mean like off the field. I just,
Oh, I was like,
no, I don't know him off the field. I'm saying like in his game,
okay, gotcha.
he's good.
Okay, yeah, good quarterback.
He said that Kansas State offered him $600,000 to enter the transfer portal and then go to Kansas State. It's
If you're not
interesting.
You're not trying.
I suppose.
But that's all hearsay. You gotta prove it.
I feel like everyone just believes him at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I remember a few years ago, I think Nick Saban got called out for like boosters, like tampering through back doors, like to get to people to transfer, and he's like, "What? That's ridiculous." And now everyone's just kind of like, "Yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. Do you think that they would have brought him in just for depth, or do you think they would have brought him in to compete with Avery Johnson?
I mean, the amount of money you would imagine, you would hope to see the field with that type of money.
Yeah.
You would assume the booster that offered that amount of money would be like, hey, I want to see this guy touch the turf,
Maybe.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the best player plays. But
I mean,
yeah.
There's speaking of other documentaries, the You documentary, part 2, referring to the ESPN 30 for 30s.
Yeah.
Early 2000s team, Percy Harvin was on that team. No, not Percy. No.
Devin Hester?
No. It might have been Untold Stories Swamp Kings, because Percy Harvin was on Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that one where they basically like, hey, you got a Ferrari in the garage, play him or whatever.
It was not that one.
No, it was something with Miami. I forget who it was. It might have been Santana Moss. I forget who it was.
I don't know.
But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the boosters do have a say to an extent, even when it wasn't allowed.
I mean, money talks.
I mean, all you gotta be like is, hey, if this guy doesn't touch the field, I'm removing my funds from,
like I'm freezing my donations.
Yeah, the faucets are being turned off.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, that is a big thing where it's like, all right, put that guy on punt returns or something. So I mean, like, just based off the price tag, I imagine he would see the field in some capacity.
Yeah.
Is he better than Avery Johnson? Personally, I don't think so.
Did you ever watch Colorado State?
But then again, I really am high on Avery Johnson. It's nothing against him.
All right. Okay. Anyway. That's quickie news. Moving on to, I think, our final bit of football news is Fresno State's head coach in mid-July has stepped down. He's no longer their head coach. He's essentially retiring. It is for medical reasons.
Yeah.
I did not see who is the interim, but it's just going to be someone on staff.
Huh.
I mean, that's a killer for Fresno State.
Yeah,
like, this late in the offseason, there's just like a month and a half left for the season to go.
No coaches would want to come in and...
Yeah, no one's going to jump ship like that. And so
it's got to be an interim.
It is, yeah, they're definitely just going to hire someone on staff.
Yeah.
Maybe they turn... Like, Fresno State was good last year. I think a lot of people thought that they were going to be pretty solid in the Mountain West again.
Right.
And that I don't know. To me, it feels like it just torpedoes their chances.
Oh,
which you don't blame their head coach at all, Jeff Tedford. You don't blame him
because he has health issues.
Yeah,
you're supposed to coach football till you die. Like, what?
Yeah, you're supposed to Jerry kill this thing.
Yeah, it's just a sad thing, really.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
a speedy recovery. Hopefully, he can come back. Maybe he steps down. Maybe mid-season he's able to come back.
It looked like it was. I mean, I don't know what the medical concerns are, but it looked like it was a retirement.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Wishing the best for Coach Tedford. Wishing the best for Fresno State.
Mm-hmm.
See if they can make some noise in what should be a competitive Mountain West.
Between them, Boise State, if Air Force is decent.
I think Colorado State and Wyoming are going to be good too. Potentially UNLV.
Yeah. So you should be a decent conference football with.
Yeah. I think them and App State right now. Not App State. Stupid. The Sun Belt. The conference that App State is in.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I don't know why I said App State.
Hey,
Them and the Sun Belt, I think, are
big
the.
on App State.
I am actually. I like App State, or this is a personal thing. I like App State or Texas State to win the Sun Belt.
Okay. Texas State, another school that's gone big on the transfer portal.
And it paid off big last year.
It sure did.
All right. Moving on to draft reactions to the MLB.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the MLB draft?
I
watched a little bit of it.
I was at sushi and I was following the updates.
They all the same.
Yeah, so I saw Travis Barzana, first Australian to be drafted in the first round.
He's Australian?
He is. He's
crazy.
He switched from cricket to baseball in high school. We did camps over here, got scouted, committed to Oregon State.
That's wild.
He's from Australia. He's from the land down under.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Also, next was I know Chase Burns because he went to my Cincinnati Reds.
Mm-hmm.
It was second overall pick. Some people considered him to be the best arm in the draft. That's up for debate. And then I believe it went Charlie Condon third.
Charlie Condon to the Rockies, I think.
And then I saw Jack Caglione slip to 6.
Yeah, he did.
So those are my main reactions out of it.
I think probably the most notable thing out of this is that the first 8 picks in the draft were all college players, which is a new MLB record. And the second longest streak of college players taken is 7, and that happened in 2020. I think 2020 you can argue COVID kind of ruined things for people. You couldn't the scouting of high school players is not the same during the pandemic. But to me it kind of signals a growing trend of MLB teams are taking more college players early in the draft.
Well, I think there's also if there's a need for with high school guys, it's a project.
Yeah.
It's basically that guy's going to start off in rookie ball, whereas some of these guys, we've seen it with Paul Skeens, who tonight is the starting pitcher for the NL All-Stars, first overall pick.
Yeah, Paul Skeens is very good.
Paul Skeens went from being drafted number 1 overall to then this time next year, literally the next year's draft, he is starting for the NL All-Stars. Mm-hmm. So I think the turnover rate is also it's just
Also, the Pirates drafted Henry Davis number 1 overall too. So there's a lot of college players going up. It's a definite shift in the MLB.
Well, also it's not baseball's one of those weird things compared to the other major sports that have first-year player drafts, where with baseball at least there's not an expectation to a certain extent of these guys being immediate contributors.
Yeah,
or even big
unless they get crazy hype going in the draft. Yeah, there's just not.
Right. And Paul Skeens had just as big of hype as Steven Strasburg for the Nationals way back in the day.
Yeah. And,
one thing I did notice looking at the draft results, Wake Forest had 3 players going in the top 10.
Oh yeah.
Between Chase Burns, Nick Kurtz, and then their shortstop at number 10.
Yeah, they killed it.
Seaver King. I didn't even know who Seaver was, but
that's the thing is why wasn't Wake better last year? They had 3 top 10 draft picks. They had other guys on this team that are going to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Wake wasn't better, but that's baseball.
I will say another thing that I would mention about why more college players are getting drafted now is that college is a little bit more attractive now that you're able to officially make money. Would you rather go?
It's true.
Would you rather be the man on campus for 3 years, still develop, go to a world? I mean, if you're a high-end athlete that's going to be a first-round pick, odds are you're going to be highly sought after by these world-class facilities that colleges have in the SEC and ACC, and maybe in the Big 12, and maybe even Oregon State. But basically, would you rather be the man on campus for 3 years, have the chance to play, develop, be around guys your age or something similar like that, and then also make money, or would you rather go to, I don't know, like the middle of nowhere? Like where's middle of nowhere? I'm trying to think. Like
Bowie,
I mean, like literally, Cincinnati Reds, their farm system.
Pensacola.
Not anymore. It's Chattanooga,
Okay.
Dayton, Louisville and Daytona. Like I mean, like, would you rather go to one of those places or be the man on campus for 3 years? Have some fun while you're at it.
Yeah. I mean, no, it does make sense. And
So
I
I
always
think-
change this.
I think there might be a little bit more of a trend there, where
I think you're right.
we'll see some more college guys because of NIL.
Yeah. Last notable thing is there were 6 players taken from the SEC in the first round, and there were 7 players from the ACC,
3 from Wake, apparently.
including Vance Honeycutt to the Orioles.
There you go. Man, your Orioles are looking phenomenal.
Sure are. We
Did
had a
you,
little 5-game skid there, but we're good.
Did you watch the home run derby last night?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
I was driving.
Oh, fair enough.
But I hope Gunnar Henderson did not do well. I want him saved.
He did not. He got eliminated in the first round.
Yes!
I think he maybe managed. I think he hit the least amount of home runs.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
I
about,
think
dude.
he hit like 12.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was the final was between Teoscar Hernandez and Bobby Witt Jr.
Let's go, man.
And then the semifinals were Jose Ramirez and Alec Bohm. So literally all the favorites got eliminated. Like Adolis Garcia was eliminated, Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, and who am I forgetting?
I don't know.
Another Marcell Ozuna.
Another slugger.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
That
All right. Last bit of
smile.
it's a good one. Last bit of quickie news. Before we move on to a fun little thing we do at the end of the episode here. We talked about Bart Torvik's analytic rankings last week.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of talked about how I don't like them.
Yeah.
I really I'm not a fan of them.
Mm-hmm.
The NCAA announced that they are now using analytic rankings as part of their teams' resumes for.
Really?
And the one that they went with is Bart Torvik. There's 3 big ones. There's Ken Pom, which I don't know why you wouldn't go with Ken Pom. There's Evan Miyakawa, and there's Bart Torvik. Why would you go with Bart Torvik?
I mean, I'm a Ken Pom stan here.
Ken Pom's great.
I think I kind of have slowly turned you into one, slowly but surely.
No, I like Ken Pom. Ken Pom's good.
I love Ken Pom.
But I do think Ken Pom is the best analytical one. I don't know why they're going with Bart Torvik. I don't know.
There we are.
So yeah, the selection committee is now going to use analytics
For their selections.
Mm-hmm.
So there is going to be such a thing as quality losses now.
There's now going to be a new data point.
So now every single point is literally going to matter because it's in a way, to an extent, we're going to take out some subjectiveness within the selection, which is kind of exciting.
It's still humans making the picks.
But I mean, like,
but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Hopefully, if the machine says this,
maybe that'll sway some
right.
people. Like, I think if they used analytics, I don't think Virginia would have made it last year.
Oh no, God!
There's no way Virginia would have made it. They would have put in either
St. John's.
Yeah, like St. John's
St.
or
John's. As far as like analytics go, it was St. John's. It was the best team that didn't get in. Here, I'll literally pull it up.
It could have been Indiana State too. It could have been Indiana State. But yeah, Bart Torvik is the one that they're using.
It would be.
I don't like that.
It's St. John's.
St. John's, yep.
Be St. John's. St. John's or Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Wake Forest. This is a side note before we move on to our last thing.
Yeah.
Wake Forest and Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
They both have coaches going into their 4th year at those schools who have been good all 3 years that they've been there. Never made the tournament.
Really?
Very big years for both of those coaches. Very big years coming up.
Wake does have what's his name? Hunter Salas?
Hunter Salas, yeah.
Yeah, he's coming back. So
They also got Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
Great get in the portal.
All right.
Yeah, Bart Torvik. Not a fan. But, whatever. Congrats, Bart.
Congrats.
All right. Final thing we're doing. Fun little off-season thing to hold us over.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to each give our top 5 rankings of the 5 best college football rivalries.
Okay.
And I think we should do it like each reveal like
5 to 1.
Yeah, like a seed line almost. Like
whoever
goes first, we'll do like your 5th team and then my 5th team, and then
Right.
you'll do your fourth rivalry, my fourth rivalry.
Right, exactly.
That kind of thing. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right,
I
let's
might
do it.
surprise some people here.
Let's do it.
My 5th rivalry game is USC versus Notre Dame.
Okay.
This thing, historically speaking, has usually been a consistently good game. It's not one of those traditional in-conference games. Nothing to do with geographically. It's just been a really good football game, and it's only with football. It's not like it's with any other sport, which I think makes it even better. Because it's like, it's random, it's cool, it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you know the trophy that they go for?
No
It's
clue.
such
I
a
don't even-
it's such a weird name.
I don't even know what the name of the game is.
I don't think they have a name in the game. I think
Oh.
it's just a trophy,
Okay.
and it's like it's not the Shanghai, but it's something else along those lines. Like at least like spelling wise.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad that I said Shanghai. I don't know because I know it's not that. But oh well.
All right.
That was not on my list. My number 5.
I think this is where we're going to be different. I think the top 4 are going to be very similar because I think the top 4 are very distinct.
My number 5 is the Apple Cup. Washington State.
I looked at Washington. I didn't think Washington State, though. I was thinking Oregon State, or Washington. Or, like, I was thinking about all 4 of those schools up there. I just couldn't come to do it.
The reason I picked that rivalry is I know it's a definite like big brother little brother.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Washington's the big brother.
Yeah.
But Washington State's usually very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
They usually play that game on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So it's one of the few games being played that day. There's more eyes on it. And it's just there's a lot of it's a back and forth rivalry. It's very much
Right.
it's not that one-sided, even though
It's
Washington
big
is
brother, little brother.
clearly the big brother in the rivalry.
Right.
Also, they've played a lot of those games in the snow because they play them in Washington,
Right.
like in late November. Like that's just fun to watch.
Right.
College football games in the snow. There's a lot of history. Like Mike Leach was in the rivalry at one point. That's
Oh, yeah?
that's a ton of fun.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace to the Pirate. I will say, before I move any further, I'm sure you're probably the same way. My list is skewed by what I have seen, and when I say that, I mean the Holy War isn't on here, and Texas A&M is not on here.
No.
I don't really have any memory of watching either of those rivalries.
No.
So like I don't think I've ever seen Texas A&M play. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen the Holy War even when they played it a few years ago in 2021. So people say those rivalries are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen them, so they're not on the list.
There you go.
All right. Give me your number 4.
Army versus Navy.
Army-Navy.
Army-Navy is...
It's a classic.
is literally, end of season happens, you got the weeks leading up to bowl game. In a way, it's almost like its own bowl game.
Yeah.
You know it's going to happen. It's national televised TV. It's during the Thanksgiving week, which is great in itself. You have the changing of the guard before the game.
You've got the
A lot of tradition behind it. Usually a good game. I mean,
yeah, Army-Navy is
it's back and forth. It used to be Navy used to beat them all the time. Now it's Army. I mean, like,
Army's beat them like 1 year, I think.
right. But I'm just saying, like,
But no, Navy does have a new coach that I'm
So-
not sure if he's as good.
but I mean, like, it's just one of those games where it's like, if that game, I always look at it this way. It's like, if that game's on, I'm tuning into that game. And it's like, well, that is the game. It's the only game
It's
on.
a fun one.
I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to be enjoying it.
I think I'll be honest, that's not on my list.
Really?
I strongly considered it.
Oh.
And it's because of the same thing as the Apple Cup for me. It's the eyes that are on it. Like it's the only game that week.
Oh yeah, it's
So
great.
everyone watches it. There's a ton of tradition around it.
Oh yeah.
The president
Yeah.
goes to that game every year, and they sit on the Army side for one half and then the Navy side for the other half.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of tradition.
Oh, it's great.
I just like
As far as like
as
good football,
it's not great football. That's
but-
the reason I didn't
But
put it on my list.
as far as like a rivalry goes, you could honestly put it as like,
It's a great respectful rivalry.
oh, it's great.
All right, my number 4 is the Red River rivalry.
Interesting.
Yes, it's fun. They play it in the Cotton Bowl every year.
Right. Yeah. It's half orange, half red.
Oh, it's split right down the middle. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Two historic programs.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Texas, despite like if you want to just like break it down to statistics, Oklahoma is the better program. Like has had more success on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Texas actually has a pretty commanding lead in this rivalry.
They do.
Yeah, I think they have like a double-digit lead over Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But it's fun. They got the hat. They got the golden hat. It's a lot of fun.
All right.
Give me your number 3.
Number 3. See, I'll tell you this much. My number 2 was Red River. My number 3 is the Iron Bowl.
Okay.
My 3 is the Iron Bowl. Auburn, Alabama was not to love about it. It is the game. The only reason why it's not too much higher is because whenever this game is in Tuscaloosa, it is not close usually. In Alabama,
Yeah, you're right.
It usually, whenever it's at Auburn, it is close, it is fun, it is exciting. Alabama has had Auburn's number. Early 2000s, Auburn had their number. It's one of those where it's like it's a back and forth as far as like traditions go. Game of streaks. 2 great programs. One is historically much better. But I mean, like, it's a great rivalry overall.
Yeah.
I have it as number 3.
It's a classic. My number 3 is the game. Michigan, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that that's the last week of the season. There's usually a lot on the line.
Yeah.
It's the noon game. So, like, if you want to watch all the big games that final week, it's usually that at noon, Iron Bowl at 3:30, and then, like, whatever a big game is going to be at, on prime time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The problem for me is that this rivalry is very much just like about swings. Like Michigan's they're on a swing right now. Ohio State had the longest run, I think, in the series, and then Michigan had a long run before that. It's not really that back and forth of a rivalry. It's there's always a lot on the line.
Oh yeah.
These teams do not like each other, so that makes it more fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it a lot of the times it feels like the outcome's not in like a ton of doubt. That's the reason I have it 3. Still a great rivalry, still a historic rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
It's my number 3.
There you go. My number 2 was the Red River rivalry. As I stated before, I think it's a great game. 2 historically powerhouse conferences. Football's always bigger in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a great game.
Except for Alaska.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's just a great game. I mean, if that game's on, I'm watching that game. That's the way I look at it.
It's a good one. It's a fun game.
Number 2.
It was on my list. Number 2 for me is the Iron Bowl.
There you go.
I mean, the tree. They killed the tree.
They did.
They poisoned a tree. They killed it.
They did it multiple times.
The hatred here is fun. It's so fun.
Oh, it is.
And also, there has been, the Chris Davis returned
2013
kick. Yeah.
That is probably the most iconic one in our lifetime.
4th and 29 last season.
Yeah.
Like, there have been some extremely fun games in this rivalry. You're right. The ones in Tuscaloosa tend to not be very close or competitive. I think that is because of Nick Saban. Nick Saban's gone. I do think Kalen DeBoer is great. I think he's going to keep Alabama going. I don't know if he's maniacal as Nick Saban, though. So they might lose a little bit of that home field advantage. Those games might start being more competitive. I just do think the hatred makes this such a good rivalry.
Yeah.
And the trees, the poor trees.
Yeah.
Give me your number one. I think I know what it is.
It's the game. It is literally the definition of a rivalry. These two schools refuse to say each other's names. They call it the team up north, and then the other team cross out M's.
Yeah,
They
Michigan.
don't say M's for a week. They refuse to acknowledge each other in the press the whole year, the whole time they're at respective schools. Like that is hatred. As far as like a rivalry goes, plus it's for the past however many years, it's been those two schools, and it comes down to the final week of the regular season to determine who's making it to the Big Ten championship, and it's like, this is awesome. I don't think there's anything bigger in the rivalry, just because it's like, also it's like, the only reason why I didn't put Red River Rivalry 1 is because I feel like the neutral site every year has a different dynamic to it.
It does.
So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like, how cool, like the amount of the home field advantage aspect of college football, I feel like is so big. It'd be so cool to see that game there. Whereas like these two teams in Ohio and Michigan hate each other, and it's just like, I'm so here for it.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of hatred going on. They don't like each other. It is interesting that teams in Ohio and Michigan are the biggest rivals. A lot of rivalries are like in-state rivalries. Right. It's very interesting. Did you know, though, Michigan and Ohio, the states, once went to war?
Really?
Yes. They went to war over Toledo.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and Ohio won.
I can see that.
Yeah, Ohio got Toledo. It's a very silly fun fact.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But
so who's your number one? You said
my number one is the definitive number one. I'm going to preface that now.
Okay. Wait. So just so we're clear, you didn't have Army and Navy.
It's not Army Navy.
You said Red River, you said Iron Bowl, and you said the game.
You sure did.
Am I forgetting a rivalry?
You most certainly are. That would be the Egg Bowl.
The Egg Bowl is the best rivalry in college football.
Oh my God!
The
yes,
Egg Bowl.
Yes. It is. It's Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That is must-see television. Every year they either play it on Thanksgiving Day or Black Friday. That game, there is not more hatred between two sides in any sporting event, maybe in the world, definitely not in the country. They hate each other. Sam, they hate each other. They hate each other. The amount of games where there is at least one fight is staggering in this rivalry. There are so many fights in this rivalry. There's, in back-to-back years, Ole Miss got penalties for doing a dog peeing celebration after a touchdown that caused them to lose. This is the best rivalry in college football. They hate each other. The games are competitive. Not last year because Mississippi State stuck. But the games are competitive. They hate each other's guts. It's vile. The fans, they are polar opposite fans. The Ole Miss fans are the most uppity frat guys, cocaine running out their ears, and like Mississippi State, that is just like Starkville with nothing but farmland. They are rural farmers. They're rednecks. They could not clash more ideologically, like culturally, and it manifests on the field. And God, they hate each other. I'm telling you, this is must-see television whenever it's on. The best rivalry in college football.
I've never watched it.
You have never watched an Egg Bowl.
No.
You've never watched them hoist that golden egg at the end.
No, I've never watched. I've never gone, let's see what games are on, and gone, ooh, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. That will be.
You are missing out.
Apparently. I've never watched it.
They hate each other. It's the most hate in a sporting event in America. It's the most hate. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's what makes a good rivalry, is the hate. That's why the Iron Bowl was number 2 for me. So the game was number 3. It's the hate.
Oh, yeah.
It is the hate. God, the Egg Bowl was so good. They're like, you can look up like a history of the Egg Bowl. They just, God, they hate each other.
Did you make this list just so you could talk about the Egg Bowl?
I think it's the most underrated rivalry in college sports.
Underrated, I think will be fair to say. Top 5?
I think it's the most underrated because I think it's one of the best.
Yeah.
It is such a good rivalry
It wasn't
game.
even on my radar.
It's so. I'm telling you, this year you have to watch an Egg Bowl. It is so good.
So like for me, it was like contemplating teams. It was like I looked like Washington, Oregon, like I said. I also looked like Florida, Miami, maybe Florida State, Miami. I looked at those. Yeah. I was like, where's the good football, and like how much do these teams hate each other? You know.
It's all about hate for me.
It's all about the hate.
That's why.
You cut the respectfulness out of it. Army, Navy.
Army, Navy, no. Navy, Army. Sorry, that's the same thing. I meant Navy, Notre Dame. That's a very respectful rivalry. No, that's not even close to the top 5.
Right.
It's Army, Navy is close because of all the tradition.
Yeah.
But it's hate, man. I gotta see the hate. I gotta feel the hate when I'm watching this.
Right.
I wanna. It unleashes something primal in me. The Gladiator 2 trailer came out recently. It's just like that. I'm just like, I'm giving thumbs down. I'm like, off with his head. Rip it off, DK. Rip it off. DK Metcalf played for Ole Miss.
Right.
I think he was the first guy to get the penalty for doing the dog peeing in celebration. Look, after we're done recording, we'll look up the dog peeing.
Okay.
Have you never seen that?
I have.
I think DK Metcalf and Elijah Moore did it in like back-to-back years.
Yeah, I remember walking up.
It's I know at least one of them. It cost them the game. I'm pretty sure it's both, but I know at least one of them. Like Elijah Moore's, I'm pretty sure it cost him the game. But that's such a good rivalry.
Okay.
All right, you got anything else?
No, I really don't.
Okay. If you watched this long, let us know what you think the best rivalry in college football is.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you enjoy the episode. Hope you like the video. Hope you subscribe to the video.